What is up, y'all? I'm Tyson with Open Range Studios, and today we're going to do a deep dive into the film emulation plugin called Dehancer. Now, I've been playing around with this for the last few weeks, and I gotta say, this is a very robust plugin. It truly does give us detailed control over a lot of the film-like characteristics we like to add to our digital videos to make them look more like traditional film. Full disclosure, they did not sponsor this video, but they did give me the plugin to do a review, but they specifically asked to do an honest review, in which you should expect nothing less of me. So right off the bat, I gotta say, there's a lot I like about this plugin. Might be a couple things I think they could improve on, but I'll get to that later. But for right now, I'm pretty blown away by the amount of control I have when trying to achieve a certain look. I mean, just the amount of film stocks alone is impressive. But enough of this, controlled studio lighting. Let's get outside, see what we can do in some natural lighting.
All right, now this is more like it.
I mean, this is the type of stuff you wanna see if I'm gonna do a review, right? These fall leaves are cool and all, but you know what can be kind of tricky to color grade? Snow shots. And you know that snow's gonna melt. We might as well jump into some summer shots. Alright, now I want to give you a nice montage of clips from different cameras, each with a different film stock and different effects added on. I also wanted to see about doing the color correcting as well as the color grading for that film look, all within Dehancer. Now, if you want to add lumetry and do your white balance and exposure and then add an adjustment layer with Dehancer on top, you can do that method as well, but let's jump into it. So I'm going to start with the snowboard shot, keep it nice and clean, and then I'm going to move on to that night shot and really lay on the effects. So first off, I drag and drop the effect onto the clip, and I am on version 1.3. I'm going to go down and turn off the film grain, which is on by default, as well as Kodak Vision 3 250D. Now up here, I pick my camera, Panasonic S5 II. I'm gonna cool it down just a bit. Then I'll add my film stock, which I really like the Fujicolor C200 for this clip. Film developer, I'm not gonna touch. I've found there's a lot of different ways to manipulate your exposure and your contrast as you go down these steps. I am going to drop on the film compression, which does a film-like job of compressing down the highlights. I only want a little bit of it though to keep those snow details popping. Now this time I'm going to use expand to dial in the brightness and contrast by moving the black point and the white point just a bit. So in print, I'm just going to turn up the color density, and I want quite a bit on this shot. So naturally we'd think to add saturation to bring those colors out, but it's actually color density that we see in a lot of those bold and vibrant movie shots. Color head, I'm not going to touch for this shot, but I am going to add some film grain. First off, I'll turn the film resolution all the way up to preserve the details. Depending on the project, you might want that lower. Now remember, it's called Dehancer, so it's taking these modern day, clean looking digital images and it's actually dehancing them to look more like vintage film. So I'll keep it kind of mellow and turn the shadows and midtones and highlights down a bit. Pop that bloom on there to create a dreamy powder feel. But I will cut the default in half to keep it a bit more subtle. And for vignette, I'll turn it all the way dark to see how it's looking. And then put the feather to 75. push it all the way out to the edges, and then set it to -0.5. That looks pretty good to me. Now I'm gonna do that nighttime Ferris wheel shot. So I'll pick my camera, GH5S, drop the exposure just a tad, then I'll throw that Kodak Ektachrome E100 on there. Now I'm going to use Film Developer to drop the contrast down and then turn the gamma up to balance it out a bit. And I will use film compression at the default setting to mellow out those highlights. Now I'm not going to use expand or print on here, but I will use color head to shift those colors around a bit. Just like that. Like that cyan. Now with film grain, I'm going to turn that resolution up and just drop down the shadows and midtones. And halation, I'm going to keep the default strength. This is that reddish glow we're getting around the edges here. Bloom, I'm also going to keep it where it's at to really glow those lights out. I'll leave vignette off. Now film breathe, I'm not going to add, but it's like a flickering of exposure from frame to frame. And there's also gate weave, which makes the shot kind of bounce around a bit as if a film strip is going through a projector. There's really a lot of options if you want to dirty up your shot, like in a good way, you know. There's false color if you want to use that as a guide. With output, you can turn the total impact of the effect down, and you might want to do that if you do have it layered up with an adjustment layer on top of Lumetri, adding your LUT and your basic color corrections. And down at the bottom, you can actually export the look you've created as a LUT and then drop it on clips in the future to streamline your workflow. So I'm happy with the way this shot looks now. This is the Great Wheel in Seattle, when it was lit up red, white, and blue the night before the US men's national team's first match in the 2022 World Cup. So after the last couple weeks of messing around with these settings, I know I still have a lot to learn, but overall, I like it. The biggest thing I think they can maybe improve on is getting it to run a bit smoother. This is a big boy plugin, and if you have a lot of effects piled up, as sometimes you will, playback can struggle a bit in the timeline. The other thing I was thinking is, now, I don't know if it's just kind of dumbing it down a bit, but maybe having a more simplified, just more or less slider for each effect. I know it kind of goes against how amazing it is to have all that control over those details, but having that option might just speed up the workflow. But all around, this is a great way to add unique themes to your videos, especially if you're trying to do more than just color correct them and make them look as bright as possible, and you truly want them to look more cinematic. So if you are interested in adding this plugin to your filmmaking tools, I encourage you to check out Dehancer.com for a free trial. And they have so much more information about why this is such a good tool for achieving that professional film look. And if you'd like to get 10% off, type in the discount code OpenRange. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I do plan on using Dehancer to stylize some future videos, so if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to follow along and check those out. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.